From toads, and surprisingly enough, it has nothing to do with Suwako, to the end of the series. Say what now? And stands. Yep, those stands. Why am I not surprised? Hello, Magi here, and welcome back to another episode of Interesting Touhou Facts, the series where I cover facts from Touhou that I find either fun, unusual, or simply interesting. So without further ado, let's begin the Interesting Touhou Facts number 103.
Number 5.
To start things off, we'll be looking at Okina, the secret god. Now, as expected of many of the girls, she's also based on some mythology. Once again, it's something I have no clue about, but that's nothing new. Okina, being a very old god, is based on matara-jin, an obscure, multifaceted god primarily of the esoteric Tendai Buddhism sect, introduced by Ennen. I don't know what the fuck that meant, but sure, that's the case. That would explain Okina's last name as it's Matara. Not only that, matara-jin is commonly seen with two servants, Terita and Nishida. This is similar to Okina's dual servant, as Mai's last name is Terida and Satono's is Nishida. Matara-jin came to be called by many names, conflated with other deities, or associated with or became the patron of multiple things. I was curious about being associated with other gods or something like that, so I looked it up and saw that one of those deities was Shinra Myojin. I'm not going to give a breakdown on what this deity is, but I wanted to bring a highlight to that. Now, I don't want to be biased or anything, but I feel like that Okina Matara has the ability to flex on the harder than her origins. I'm just saying, a lot of the girls in Kisoku can do that, so maybe it's not fair. But my point still stands.
Number 4.
So this one is the most random fact that I was able to find. Not only that, once you hear this, you might start to question a few things, or give a what the fuck moment. There's always that. So in Strange Creators Volume 1, there's an interview regarding legacy. In this section talking about the Lunar Rabbits, aka Seirat and Ringo, chang'e was brought up. That's not surprising, as although we didn't see her physically, she was the main reason the game came to be, with both the final and extra stage boss having beef with chang'e. The interviewer says this, and chang'e is in the shape of a toad in the lunar capital? And Zoom replies with, since she was turned into a toad. Wait! Back the fuck up. How the hell did the topic of toads come into play? Is there more about chang'e's mythology that I wasn't wary of? Was there something else in the endings of Legacy that I just didn't see? I also reviewed the rabbit section just to be sure I didn't miss anything, and nope, couldn't find anything that would lead to the toad part. Second of all, who the hell would be able to turn her into a toad? Chang'e in Touhou is both a Lunarian and goddess, and if that wasn't enough, she's also an immortal due to consuming the Horai elixir. So we either have some weird shit happening in the lunar capital, or Aaron's elixir went a little haywire. There's no real clue to what changed chang'e into a toad. That's if Zune was being serious about that or not. You can never tell with this guy. But I'm not gonna lie, I really want to believe in the idea of chang'e being a toad, as that would be the most hilarious thing. Imagine this, Junko and Hekichiya, both powerful beings. Junko being a divine spirit and Hekichiya being a goddess of hell. And these two incredible beings are going after a toad. Not an image you would expect, let me tell you.
Number 3.
For this fact, we're going to be returning to Okina. Now this is a fact you might have experienced firsthand. So Okina has two boss themes. Her stage 6 is called the Concealed 4th Season. The extra stage is called Secret God Madara, Hidden Star in all seasons. For this fact, we'll be looking at our stage 6 one. I'm going to play you the part that pertains to this fact. If you just heard that, you may notice it sounds similar to an old track. After hearing both of them, you may have learned that Conceal took some inspirations from a Gap yokai. You may think Zune is paying a small homage to Necrophantasia. Well, you'd be wrong about that. In the Strange Creators Volume 4 section regarding Hidden Star, Zune said it just happens. He's not aware of it, but it just ends up like that. He explains there aren't many variations in music. He put it in another way. The reason Necrophantasia sounded like it did was because that's how it ended up when he wrote it. I didn't realize there weren't many variations in his type of music. Obviously, I don't create music, so I'll have to take Zune's word on it. I mentioned that Okina's theme had that small part of Necrophantasia. The funny part is that though it's just mere coincidence, both Yukari and Okina are familiar with each other. So all in all, if you hear a certain part being showcased once more in the future music tracks, just keep in mind that it's possible it's not necessarily an homage and could be an accident.
Number 2.
When it came to the fighting games, Antinomy was the most unique in that it included a new mechanic not seen in that genre, the dual characters. I wanted to say Antinomy was the first game with that system, but Imperishable was. It was a really cool mechanic. From a story perspective, it was fun to see the interaction between the 4 fighters for every level, giving another layer in character interaction. Plus, the cast had some awesome battle intro when paired up with their story partner, and I already made a video showcasing them in the past. Today, we're going to be looking at Zune's thought process for the creation of the system. In Strange Creators Volume 5, in the Perfect Possession interview, they were trying to figure out the balance between the master and slave. They talked about who should be in charge and plot-wise. Zune couldn't write a story where they simply teamed up. Nah, that would have been too convenient or something like that. Zune's original image was like the stands in JoJo's. You know what? The idea of the slaves being related to stands does not surprise me in any sense. If Zune can, he bloody will add anything JoJo related. Characters, music, hell, even game systems. Nothing from Touhou is safe from JoJo, and that's perhaps for the best in my opinion.
Number 1.
For the last fact, I want to preface by saying it's perhaps the most surreal of all the facts I've covered so far. Once I explain it, you'll understand what I mean by that. So in Strange Creators Volume 4, in the Mountain of Faith interview, Zune said that when EOSD came out, he was going to make it up to Imperishable and then stop. He would have been satisfied with that, but then the fans kept growing. By the time Imperishable was released, the amount of fans increased, so he changed his mind and decided to keep the series going. That's pretty crazy to think about. Imperishable was originally meant to be the final game in the series, which would have been reasonable at that point as he had made 8 games if you include the PC-98 ones. The trial for Immaterial was released on the same day as Imperishable. If he had stuck to his original plan, then Immaterial might not have come out. If it had ended with Imperishable, that would have meant that the series ended in August 15th, 2004, as that's when it would have been released. Honestly, just thinking about that is surreal given how long the series has lasted and all the games and pro-work stats has been created for the game. But yeah, at one point Imperishable would have concluded the series, meaning Gensokyo would have had only the cast members of those games. It would certainly make Gensokyo feel much smaller, but thankfully we avoided that as Touhou soon was surging with many fans. And with that, we avoided the endgame of Touhou. As awesome as that is, one has to ask, when will the series ever end? I honestly have no clue. With Imperishable being the original finish, I'm curious to see if he had a different ending for the game to showcase the conclusion of the series, or if it has the same ending as currently, and that would have been it. Either way, the world would have lost many great songs, games, memes, and obviously characters if it had ended back in 2004. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this episode. Which facts were your favorite? Do you think chang'e is a toad? Did you find it funny how the Necrophantasia parts could have been added just by pure accident? Or do you think stands represent the antinomy system quite well? If you guys enjoyed the video, please give it a like and subscribe, or else you might end up like a toad like chang'e. I can't imagine that would be fun. Either way, this is Magi, and thanks again for watching.
覚悟しろよ